All right, all right, all right. Happy Wednesday. Happy March, everybody. It's March 1st at the time of this recording. Coach Lois here with another impromptu inspired monologue on my Healthy and Wealthy and Wise podcast. I woke up this morning, I had led my meditation class and was just thinking about March. You can probably hear in my voice, I have a little bit of a cold. There's been tons and tons of cold weather and rain this winter here in Southern California. I know my friends in Minnesota, the Midwest, have been just hammered with snowstorms and snowmageddon experiences. And, there's a lot of outside external storms in life that can also impact our immune system, that can also impact our mental health, that can impact our physical and spiritual health. And so I wanted to just broach this conversation today to get you to think about that old saying, March coming in like a lion or a lamb, and then it would usually go out. I don't even know where that came from, but I grew up with that with my family growing up on a farm. That was always the big conversation because of the farm life. The weather impacted a lot of everything my father did. And I'm not really here to talk about the weather. I'm here to talk about the internal climate of you. Do you allow the external things, even like the weather, to trigger you? And here's the thing about triggers, and what I mean by trigger is when something happens that all of a sudden it's like a conscious interrupt, and it impacts you emotionally, may impact you mentally, where the ego goes off and just chatters, negative thoughts, things of that nature. You might even have an emotional response like crying, or your body, if you feel this anxiety, you feel this lack of trust or fear. Those are like just some simple symptoms. And I'll even say this because I've learned this the hard way through an autoimmune disease. Having those internal triggers, also known as trauma responses, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, when we have those internal triggers, it can cause us to go and look outside of ourselves for validation, for soothing, like sugar, alcohol, even napping, Netflix, social media, scrolling, right? And a lot of those things I've been talking about recently are just symptoms. They're the effects of what people call addictions or addictive behaviors, things that oftentimes will soothe us synthetically or artificially soothing us. However, what I've learned because of my autoimmune disease, because of my journey with health, nutrition, addictive behaviors, I've learned that we can't really get any external validation to really truly solve the issue, the trigger, the challenge, the frustration, the anxiety. It's been proven. A lot of times people will get one medication only then to medicate their medications. Just popping a pill isn't usually, I'm not saying any, absolute statement here, but those pills, those coping mechanisms, those addictive behaviors that soothe us in the moment, that might give us a dopamine hit to feel better or to numb the feelings and the emotions that are coming up that scare us, right? So what I like to say is when we have those frustrations, those triggers, those emotions coming up, it might feel like that March coming in like a lion. Those rainy days, and I'm not talking about the weather, those mentally and emotionally tough days. And if you realize we live in a duality of life, there's positive and negative. There's masculine and feminine. There's happy and sad. There's angry and joyful. That's part of our humanity. Trying to overlook the negative and stuff it down, which is usually the root cause of addictive behaviors and tendencies. Even grief, if you haven't fully allowed yourself to heal after a death, a loss, and grief isn't just about death. It's a lot of times about a loss or something that is no longer around, whether it's a person, place, moving. We moved a lot. And I know that caused our children some grief. So we wanted to help them process that over time. There's no such thing as an overnight quick fix when it comes to healing. You've heard my story. I've spent the last 2 years, really peeling back the layers of the onion so that when I have those lion flare-ups, I can build emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence, connecting inward to be able to come back to that lamb nature. We are all perfect, whole, and complete beings. I believe that. We are all here to love and be loved, express kindness, receive kindness, and then reality, right? We live in a world with war. We live in a world with poverty. We live in a world with things where we can't have what we want for whatever reason. And so that inner toddler, that inner child is what drives those trauma responses and those triggers, the anger, the rage, the depression, the sadness. And that inner child just wants to be seen and be heard and nourished, and releasing those feelings and emotions, transmuting them through breath work, meditation, yoga, specifically Kundalini was the one thing that really helped me shift and really rebalance my parasympathetic and sympathetic systems. If you understand those, that's also a fight or flight system within your central nervous system that, if not regulated, can put you in that default mode network of just hamster wheel insanity, right? The definition of doing things over and over again, expecting a different result without changing the internal weather, without changing the internal dialogue or monologue from the ego, right? The ego is also important to help learn about it and be curious and hold yourself with compassion through those stormy days, stormy nights. I've had many nights where I'd wake up in the middle of the night with fear, anger, frustration. You can even have triggers in the middle of the night. A dream, a bad dream, a nightmare could even wake you up and cause you to feel like you're right in it emotionally. Again, feelings and thoughts is what I'm really, really talking about. How can you manage your mind? How can you connect with your heart? And I just want to really reinforce, because I've talked about this multiple times, my new fundamentals. I call them the Take 5 fundamentals of Kundalini, breathwork, meditation, superconscious creation, checking in with your nutrition. How are you nourishing yourself nutritionally is really, really, really key. Really, really, really important. For what we put into our body, mindset, what you're watching, what you're consuming through social media, news, all of that impacts your body. And so really being conscious about what you're consuming mentally, physically, and then of course, spiritually is a personal thing, whatever that means for you. For me, it goes inward, in spirit, inspiration. How can I bring that from within to the without? That is all about love, compassion, safety, peace, inner peace, outer abundance, right? So I just want to remind you of that today. Whether you have stormy weather like we do here in Southern California, maybe March is coming in like a lion weather-wise, every day you have the option, you have the choice. The power to choose is always yours. It's just, are you conscious and aware of that? So my hope is that you will invite yourself to really hold yourself through those lion moments, through the stormy weathers. And I also want to invite you to become a participant in my Healthy and Wealthy and Wise subscription. It is super, super affordable, super low cost. And my vision is to build this community of like-minded people who want to heal mentally, physically, and spiritually. It's also a great, great supportive community where you know you can be seen, be heard, be appreciated, and not be alone. One of our biggest limiting beliefs is that we are alone, we are separate, we are isolated from the rest of the world. And we are not. We are all one. We are all connected. When you heal yourself, you heal others, not just in your family lineage, but globally. And there's a lot of people with health challenges right now, a lot of people with financial challenges, a lot of people with relationship challenges. March is going to be a really big month. March is going to be massive. The spring equinox is coming. A lot of people who I talk to have predicted March to be a massive shift month. And you don't have to believe in astrology or anything like that to probably agree with me. And just noticing what's happening in the world is happening for us. We're being called to go inward. We're being called to remember who we truly are. Knowledge is power. Once you know your triggers, once you acknowledge them with love and compassion and light and peace and joy, you can actually calm and soothe that inner child yourself. And guess what? Then the addictive behaviors disappear. The weight comes off naturally without dieting. The relationships turn into pure joy, bliss, more intimacy, more authenticity when you truly get to the root cause and the core of those triggers that cause the external and internal storms, quite honestly. All of these external triggers happen for us, not to us. And I really, really, really encourage you to sign up. I'll put the link always is in the show notes on how you can be a part of my community. What I do know is even if you're not a part of my subscription and monthly programming, weekly classes on meditation, Kundalini yoga, breathwork, having access to hundreds, soon to probably be thousands of videos that you could do every day to develop that muscle of emotional intelligence. And I know there's a big trend towards positive intelligence, and I think that's fine. However, you can't feel positive without first feeling the negative. So that's why I'm talking about emotional equilibration. Equilibration, meaning you can see the light and the dark, and you are still of the calm in the eye of whatever storm may be falling. If it's rain, snow, death, grief, sadness, anger. So I hope this was helpful for you today, getting you to think about March coming in like a lion, going out like a lamb, or vice versa, and how you are your own weather forecaster. You just got to go inward. So if you felt there was value today, please hit the share button. Sharing is caring. Comment below with questions if you would like. I do check Facebook once a day for any questions inside of this live streaming podcast community. And then, of course, if you want to be truly healed, mind, body, and spirit, I'd love for you to join my Healthy and Wealthy and Wise subscription, because you are worthy. You are more than enough. You deserve healing and alignment with your highest truth. And I wish you an amazing March. Here's to your success. Super excited to see and hear from you how you transform, because as within, so without. Much love. Coach Lois signing off here. Until next time, here's your best health, your best wealth, your best wisdom. Bye-bye for now.